Hey guys, Gary here, and this is my review for Kirby Battle Royale on the 3DS. Now, as you may have seen in my previous first impressions video, I'm not really the Kirby fan. I've never dismissed the franchise, just never really brought into it that much. And it's nothing to do with me not liking Kirby or anything like that. It's just that it always happens to be that there's other games that I want more when a Kirby's released. So this is a great opportunity for me to finally get into the franchise, although it is a little bit different from the mainline series. Now, I have gone back and played some of the mainline series for this review, but it's quite detached from the main series really. So let's get straight into why it's so different. First of all, it's more of a top-down brawler than it is a 2D platforming game like other Kirby's. Also, the main thing in the other Kirby games is to sort of inhale your enemies and then you steal their powers. Well, that's not present on this. You actually just pick your powers from the menu before you start each match. Now, the game has three different modes. There's Battle, which is like a free battle mode. Online, as this game seems to be centered around online, but I'll talk more about that in a second. And it's also got a main story mode. Now, the main story mode is basically that there's this big, massive sort of event on in a battle arena that's hosted by King Dedede, and the winner gets some cake, which, as most of you Nintendo fans know, if there's cake involved, something bad normally does happen. So it's not actually that bad in the Kirby game, it's just that that is the prize. So Kirby goes into this battle basically to win a cake, and King Dedede has basically set it up to kind of just beat Kirby for once. So he's actually made a printer which prints other Kirbys. Now, because of this, there's not really much of a variety of baddies in the main one-player mode, but it is mainly just a one-player version of the online. So basically, you go in and there's all different maps on there, different things that you can play, and you have to complete so many of them before you can progress to the next set of missions. So the missions range from a brawling, beat 'em up sort of thing, where it's literally the last person standing. Now, if you get knocked down, there is a sort of time before you can regenerate, but you'll regenerate with less health and be knocked down easier again the next time. So even if you're not the person who's dealing the most damage to start with, you can still win if you are the last person standing. There's also a game called Apple Rush, where you have to collect apples from a tree and put them onto your trapdoor and activate the trapdoor to score points. Now, this is actually a really good mode. It's quite chaotic. You can sort of hit the enemy to stop them from collecting too many apples, or just concentrate on grabbing your own. So there's always an element of sort of what you want to do next, and a bit of thinking and a bit of logic involved in that, which is fairly good. As you may have seen in some of the trailers, there's also a mission with a train, and this one is probably one of the cooler ones because it's not set in an arena. So what it is there's gems on the level, and you have to go and collect the gems and throw them into the trucks on the train to get points. You can also stop your enemy from getting them, and the trains will pass out the screen, and then there will be another one a bit later on. So sometimes there's a lot of gem collecting without throwing them into the train, so there's a bit of strategy involved. You can let your enemy pile up their gems and then just hit them and steal them. So yeah, that's pretty cool as well. I really enjoyed that mode. And then there's some lesser good modes, such as there's one with these bike things, and you basically you can get on the bike and you have like a meter that fills up, and as soon as it fills up, you can ram through your opponents. And that's basically a collectathon mode to a point. You're just trying to collect the most of these like little sort of coins. They look like poker chips that each person has got. There's also like a quiz mode where it actually goes through in stages. So it will ask you simple questions like, what is the answer to 2 plus 3? And there will be two panels. One will have the correct answer on, and one will have the wrong answer on. And you have to stay on the correct panel. And you can also hit your enemies off them. And the timer goes down, and whoever's left on that panel at the end of the timer wins a certain amount of points. And then it goes into a next round, which will be another randomized thing, like there'll be asteroids falling from the sky and you have to just avoid them, or missions like just attack an enemy or make sure you don't get hit for a certain couple of seconds. So the one-player mode's pretty cool. I really like the way it's constructed in basically just a quick pick up and play. You can play a couple of matches, put it down. However, there is one thing that did irritate me a little bit about it, and that is your AI counterpart. So some of the matches, In fact, the majority of the matches are 2-on-2. So you're there with the bandana Waddle Dee, as he's called, which is your ally, and you will be partnered with him. Now, sometimes he does amazing and basically makes you win. Other times he can basically just get in the way, make you lose very, very badly, and it can be extremely frustrating. As anyone knows who's played a lot of games before, whenever you've got an AI counterpart who's actually a big part of it, they can sort of get in the way, which is generic across the board in all games, but it's a particular annoyance on the later levels on this one, which require more skill, because sometimes you will be beating it, but he will not be. So the abilities in this game range from a swordsman to a brawler to a doctor, and stuff like a whip wielder and a boomerang thrower. So there's all sorts of different things there, and they're pretty good. You select them just before you go into a match, and you can also select some power-ups, which are later on in the one player, but they're there online fairly fast. Called power orbs, and they give you abilities like you tap on the screen and it will give you an added speed boost for so much time, or added damage for so long. That's a pretty cool touch. It can also add that extra bit of strategy on the online modes, because let's face it, it's chaotic anyway. So yeah, it just adds that little bit more to it, a little bit more customization to let it sort of flow a little bit better. Online can be a little bit choppy, which isn't really anything special for a 3DS game. You've seen it in games such as Smash Brothers. Sometimes it can halt almost to a stop. It's mainly other people who are to blame, really, if you've got a decent internet connection. But it is a little bit too unplayable sometimes when it's like it. But when it does run solid, the online's great. It's challenging. There's a lot of people out there who are really skilled. And you can also change your colour of your Kirby, or you can even be other characters later on as unlockables. You can choose your ability and different hats. So there's customization across the board there, and it's more or less the same sort of thing as the one player mode. So you're selecting a different mission or a different sort of arena to fight in, and you're there to collect points. You also collect coins throughout the entire game, whether it's on the one player or on the multiplayer, and you can use those to unlock a variety of different things. Mainly the abilities, hats, characters, music, all that sort of stuff. And as well as a shop to unlock stuff, there's also a sort of trophy system, as it would be called on the PlayStation networks and stuff like that, or achievements. So it's got its own little medals, they're called in this. And that's pretty cool, because they actually reward you with coins as well for doing these missions. Now, some of them might be fairly simple, like just use an ability once. Others are like finish so much of the one-player campaign. And they just add that tiny little touch for the completionists out there, which is a fairly good thing to always have in a game. So overall, I would say that Kirby's Battle Royale is perfect for a younger generation. The online's really safe on it. There's no harm from like text chat or voice chat. Nobody's going to throw any insults or anything. So it's a perfect game for your kids to play online and not have to worry about their safety or what they're going to hear or what they're going to, learn from other people. It does boast a fair few modes, as I've already said. They're a little short on content and can feel repetitive at times, but it is the perfect pick up and play game, so I'd highly recommend it for that rather than longer play sessions. It's a perfect little game to shove in there with some main titles as well. So if you're playing bigger games such as Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild, then this is a perfect on the go sort of game. The families, I'm sure, will love it, young kids especially, and if you've got two systems and two copies of the games to play together, then I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fun in that. So overall, I really enjoyed this game. Actually, a lot more than I thought I would have done. It's packed full of content. Brilliant for families. My daughter, especially, she loved it. Yeah, so I'd definitely keep it on your radar, especially if you're still playing 3DS. Now, for the hardcore gamers, you might find it a little bit repetitive, but it is perfect for those small bursts of play sessions. So definitely check it out, especially if you're a Kirby fan, or if you're a fan of those sort of Royal Rumble games where it's 4-on-4 in an arena, or if you just want some quick to play online mode, it's also pretty good for that as well. So we'll catch you next time, and stay tuned for more things Nintendo.